we're going to use the Studio to get started, where we can see the API in use in our browser and experiment with different options. We can see that there are two APIs as part of data extraction. We have Parse, which gets the full text out of a document as either JSON or markdown for further processing, or we have extract, which just pulls out the specific information that we define from a document. So let's start with extract. Let's load up an invoice. So we're going to look at 3 invoices that Nutrient has received from different vendors, and we will extract the same information from each one. On the right-hand side, we have the configuration, which defines the data extraction operation that we're going to do. The most important part of this for extract is the schema. So this defines the specific fields and the types of that information that we want to take from the document. This schema is actually already for an invoice, but it has more fields than I want to include for this demo. So to make things a bit simpler, let's clear that. And we can type in what we want. So we could put the label like date. We can define the type. So we support nested types, but we'll just use date for this one. And then to set exactly what type of information that it is and isn't, we can say like the date the invoice was issued. So not, for example, the date the payment is due. And then we can continue adding properties. But rather than watching me type all those in, there's a schema here I made earlier. So this one is actually, it's just JSON, that's all I imported, but it's a bit easier to read in the builder. As well as the date, you can see I've added the invoice number, the company that issued the invoice, the total amount, which we set as a number, the currency of that total. And you can see some of the descriptions are quite detailed. I found by experimentation how to be clear about what we want so that it works across a range of documents. And I will just set the mode to understand. That's the trade-off between the quality and the speed and cost. And we could use a slightly faster option in this case. We can see we now have the results on the right. As I hover over these, we will see a citation back over the document on the left, showing where this information came from within the document. So this will be useful for auditing that extracted data. We can also see the actual JSON that the API has responded with. So you can see that those rectangles where the text came from are available in the JSON as well, because everything we see here in the Studio is built on top of the API. Okay, so that's fine for a single document, but things get a bit more useful when we can apply the same schema to a different document. So you can see this one is from a different vendor, has a different layout, but we can still pull out the same information. So we can see we've got the fields we requested as before. We'll look at one final invoice. This one is a bit different. You can see that while the others were fully digital, this one is was at some point printed, and then it's had a photo taken of it to scan it in. So this is fine because the data extraction API will do character recognition. It works very well for printed text like this, but it will also work with handwriting, although you may see a lower accuracy in that case, so you might want to have more manual checks in place for handwriting. Right, so we can see we've got the information that we requested as before with the citations. And yeah, that's all I wanted to show from extract.